Good evening. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, government has in its possession the recommendations from the committee set up to look at rationalizing statutory corporations on the island. It's one of the recommendations from the International Monetary Fund and one of government's solutions to cutting its expenditure. Dr. Justin Robinson, who chaired the committee, told the media they've done the assessment, prepared the report, and submitted it about 2 months ago. He was speaking at the first Astor B. Watts lunchtime lecture for 2018 at DLP headquarters in George Street. Now, earlier in his presentation, Dr. Robinson said government's disbursements to various statutory corporations has grown exponentially over the years, and at its current rate could add millions to the national debt every 2 years.
It contains a framework and some preliminary recommendations, okay? But it contains a framework for attacking this. Because again, you see, the broad point is that if you're going to attack this, you're really going to need some detailed analysis as to what you are going to do. So it's more a framework for attacking it.
Although pressed, Dr. Robinson did not go into details about what the report contained, but said any administration which intends to tackle the problem will need a strong mandate and will have to expend a lot of political capital to get it done. Barbadians can expect its new Governor-General to be just as active as her predecessor as she executes the myriad duties of the office. That's the impression given by Dame Sandra Mason during a special farewell ceremony held in her honor this afternoon at the Supreme Court. Dame Sandra was given a royal send-off by the officers from the various departments in the court, where she served in several capacities for about 37 years. Tributes were paid to Dame Sandra in word and song. And admitting that she was very sorry to be leaving the judicial system, the new Governor-General pledged to work very hard in her new role.
Despite what people think, it is not only going out to ceremonial occasions and meeting centenarians. There are a lot of duties involved in the post, and I want to believe that with God's help, and certainly in some instances with other people's help, some of you, I will acquit myself properly of the job that I have been given.
And given the turnout inside of the Supreme Court where the function was held, Chief Justice Sir Martin Gibson says it is clear that Dame Sandra, who last served as a Justice of the Appeal Court, was very well loved and will be missed. One of the reasons for this, according to Sir Marston, is because she genuinely cared about those with whom she worked.
You have always been an important part of the courts, and if you just look around, you would notice that from the highest to the least, they're here to honor you. And the reason they're here to honor you is because as registrar, as a magistrate, as a Court of Appeal judge, you always remembered the least of these.
While some South Coast businesses are reporting an improvement in the sewage crisis, at least one of them is remaining closed. Kareem Smith has the details.
The Worthing branch of popular restaurant Chicken Barn has remained closed despite reports from Barbados Water Authority officials and South Coast businesses of a significant improvement in the sewage situation there. Chicken Barn's director Paul Hynam says although there's been no sewage overflow for the past 4 days, the branch still faces a significant challenge.
Most of our car park is still underwater, and it has sewage mixed with the water that's coming from the back from the rain. There's a drain that needs to, at the back of us, that needs to be cleared. So I think it is. I'm not sure if it's government lands, but there's a drain that's been there for years and years.
Last November, sewage water carrying toilet tissue flowing from the sewage cover in front of the Worthing branch caused its closure. However, at that point, Mr. Hynam said despite losing thousands of dollars as a result of the closure, his business would hold on to its 14 employees, hoping that the problem would be solved quickly.
We are relocating them to the other 5 locations until the end of December. Hopefully, we will have this problem resolved by then so that we will be able to reopen to the public. We hope that we will not have to lay them off.
However, Mr. Hynam tells CBC that this January, 6 employees have been laid off. While Mr. Hynam acknowledges the progress made to rectify the sewage issue, he describes the situation as unacceptable and he's hopeful the branch will reopen at some point. Kareem Smith, CBC News.
Well, thanks very much, Kareem. Now, joining us live is the General Manager of the Barbados Water Authority, Keith Roy Halliday. Mr. Halliday, welcome back, I will say.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks for joining us again. Now, first things first, what is the current situation on the South Coast?
Pretty much improved. Over the last 5 plus almost 6 days, we've had virtually, in fact, no seepage, no raw sewage on the streets. This really comes in the aftermath of much hard work and the implementation of a number of mitigation measures. And that notwithstanding, we're not resting on our laurels, if it can be so bold. There's still a number of other mitigating measures that we put in place that will serve either as a redundancy measure or as a backup to what we currently have in place, because we are determined as much as we possibly can to maintain the status quo in terms of keeping the levels down. And as you know, following this stage, as we have indicated before, there are a number of steps that we now need to pursue aggressively to actually arrive at a solution, a fix of the solution, fixing the problem that is there. This is really just the first stage, which we've wrestled with for a little while, just getting the levels down and getting on top of it, finding some semblance of balance. And we're pretty happy that we are at least at this stage where we no longer have raw sewage on the streets, where we're containing the situation.
Now, one of the last major things that you told us about when you were here last was when you closed off the section of, was it Highway 7, and you did the CCTV test to see, to look at the blockage. Do you have the results of that test? Is it too early?
That investigation, that activity was partially successful. We were able to get the levels really down. We still had about 8 inches of fluid, of water, of wastewater into the sewage system, and that prevented us from doing the kind of examination that we really wanted to do. What we're doing in the upcoming, a few nights from now, we're going to attempt it again. We anticipate that we should not have to turn off the water, the potable water. We're actually going to install plugs to secure that particular section. We had intended to do it that night, but the plugs failed. We're going to try it again. We believe that what we have should work now, and then we will do the CCTV inspection.
Okay. Now, I don't know how difficult this will be, but can you give us an overall timeline to success of the mitigation strategies being used?
Well, having gotten the balances under control, there are a number of steps that we now have to pursue. There are at least 2 concurrent steps that we'll be pursuing at the same time in the interest of time. One is examination of that blockage and clearing of the blockage. At the same time, we now have a design in hand that we are finalizing for the possible construction of a permanent bypass for the first main, because we believe that that section is crumbling. We have to finance that. We have to get all of the stakeholder ministries involved, because there are a number of activities that must be planned. If all goes well, we can actually get that stage of it completed in about 3 months. It will take that much time. Okay. During all this time, of course, we'll be keeping the levels down. And then there are a number of other activities that we must pursue as well. Okay,
so as you said, 3 months, we know that it's a long-term issue. One of the things that we're grappling with now, especially in the tourism sector, these advisories from both the US, US, Canada, and the UK have all issued advisories onto Barbados. What's your response?
Well, it's obviously of great concern. It has impacted our staff as well, because we have been working very hard to get to the stage where we're at. We do understand the caution that has been given, and the Ministry of Health has spoken to that as well. At some point in time, we believe that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will also address that as well.
Now, you talked about the force main, the last part of it. I just wanted to go back a little bit.
Sure.
You said that over the 3 months, that's going to cost, well, you didn't say a cost, but overall, I could just imagine this will carry a hefty price tag. Can you speak to that?
It has been carrying a hefty price tag, both in respect of all the resources, in respect of the time, in respect of our HR and the overtime and and the impact on their family. It's taken a big dent to cash flow, of course, but we have no choice. We're out there 24/7 monitoring these systems and reacting as quickly as we possibly can. The final result or the final bill, I cannot yet say. But for the interim, we've spent quite a bit of money trying to always do the sanitization, deodorizing, some of the cleanup we've been doing, some of the haulage that we've been doing, maintaining the system, buying the various parts, replacing the various pumps, etc., etc. We have been very grateful for any assistance we have received. The BTI has stepped up immensely at times when we simply could not do enough. We are pursuing other means of financing from one or two multilateral agencies who have also stepped up and expressed concern. The Ministry of Finance initiated at least one of those. So we are getting that level of support from government in terms of moving forward. But it will be a pretty hefty bill. We are aware of that. But at the end of the day, when you're talking about $2 million tourist industry, any bill that we pay now to safeguard that, as well as our health and the citizens, it will be well worth it.
Certainly. And finally, one thing that people often don't take into account, staff at the Water Authority. How has this impacted their morale? And how are you keeping it up?
Well, one of the positions we've taken is that we're going to be very honest and open and out with all of our staff, all of our customers, whether internal or external. The staff have really rallied around us pretty well. It's not just one individual or just the management team. We have a wide team of fitters, operators, you name it, that are always out there on the go. And sometimes the recognition that they deserve is not high enough. But certainly, notwithstanding what is going on, they have been putting in the effort. And they were extremely encouraged by the progress that we made in the last week. The advices will have had some impact, but they're rallying around us still, and we're driving forward because they know now that we've gotten to this stage, we should be able to get this in hand within short order.
Thank you very much, Keith Roy Halliday, General Manager of the Barbados Water Authority, who is currently battling a flu, to come in and speak with us and give us an update on the all-important South Coast sewage issue. Thank you very much, Mr. Halliday.
Thank you, Lisa.
Certainly. Well, in other news now, not enough Barbadians with writing skills are getting involved in songwriting. That's the belief of Education Minister Ronald Jones. Speaking during a prize-giving ceremony for entrance of an international essay competition, Minister Jones says Barbados has no shortage of talented musicians, and the time has come for writers to put pen to paper and provide them with material to sing.
One of the interesting things that I've noted over the years that I've been Minister of Education is that we have a strong and growing musical talent in this country, but it needs a partner. And what is that partner? The writing skills. People who can write and write well. And you twin that music with that creative ability, then there's nobody in the world who's going to stop us.
Coming up on the evening news, one of the new political parties targeting a particular politician. We'll tell you who after this break.
Britain's Hill St. Michael is a sleepy residential and commercial community that mirrors other districts across Barbados. It boasts 3 schools along its main artery, Britain's Crossroad, as well as a consulate and a number of food and retail businesses. But there is one thing that sets it apart from other communities: the events of August 26, 2007.
Around 4:30 this morning, something was going dreadfully wrong in this quiet Britain's Hill neighborhood. Many awoke to a fierce rumbling. What they initially thought was a slight tremor was the partial collapse of their apartment building. Some managed to escape, others did not.
This is a story about human rights. For those that don't know, you need to. Yo, a starving artist, but his lyrics so worldwide. His friend and manager was a snake in disguise, and he was bitten. His song sold without his permission. Saw his record on the shelf, the snake had stolen his vision. But knowing his rights, he could protect himself. Fair treatment by fair courts, he got the law to help. The other dude just sunk weak, looked like a punk, could hardly open his mouth to speak, popping that jump. You better get up, stand up, if you've been done wrong. You better stand up for your rights like that Marley song. Get yourself represented, lawfully defended. Know your human rights, don't ever surrender. No, don't ever surrender. Yeah. Let's go.
I thought a drink would magically solve all my problems.
And then you don't even have a decency.
I thought it would give me courage.
I thought that it would help me fit in.
You know, I thought it'd be the life of the party.
I never thought this would happen to me.
I thought I was only hurting myself.
If alcohol has lost its magic for you and you can't stop drinking,
I took action and my life has changed.
I'm out living life to the fullest.
Now I have friends that accept me for me.
I realized I don't have to drink anymore.
I've stopped hurting the people that I love.
AA gave me hope.
you'll find us in the phone book, your local newspaper, or on the web at aa.org. Alcoholics Anonymous.
If the United Progressive Party has its way, Independent Member of Parliament for Christchurch West, Dr. Maria Agard, will be joining their ranks as they seek a victory in the upcoming general elections. UPP leader, attorney-at-law Lynette Eastman, today confirmed that an invitation to join had been made to Dr. Agard and they were awaiting her response.
With many of the new parties, we've asked just about everybody to join. Obviously, Dr. Agard would be, if we didn't ask, I would think you would think we were stupid. So we have asked her.
Well, Ms. Eastman was speaking following the presentation of the second part of their manifesto at a press conference inside of the building where Dr. Agard's dental practice is located. She says Dr. Agard would be a welcomed addition to the party in its bid to come out on top.
Dr. Agard is definitely one of the strongest members of Parliament at the moment in terms of how she researches her issues, makes presentations, and makes recommendations. A very disciplined individual, someone who has benefited from, you know, education in Barbados that really we should be using in the governance of Barbados, and it's unfortunate that we're not. So certainly she brings a lot of expertise to the United Progressive Party, and if she were to come, of course she would strengthen it.
A mental health practitioner is concerned that the mental well-being of the country's vulnerable groups is being neglected. The issue was raised by psychiatrist Dr. Amin Bell, who was speaking at the opening of a health extravaganza for the country's senior citizens. Dr. Bell believes the health of those groups should not be taken for granted.
The things that is really terrible is that the youth are neglected as far as mental health is concerned, because people say, oh, he or she is young, they'll get over it. The elderly, likewise. Oh, they've been through a lot, they must know how to handle themselves.
Dr. Bell also reminds Barbadians that care for their mental health is as important as their physical health.
Very difficult for a lot of people to understand that, because they've been brought up with the thought that mental health is a scourge. Mental health is not a scourge. Mental health is a situation which arises out of a lot of distress, discomfort, and many other factors that all of us at some time in our life are going to experience.
One day after receiving a Barbados Companion of Honor Award for his contribution to the field of optometry, esteemed optometrist Harold Keith Melville has died. Melville had been ailing for some time and was represented by his grandson, Alexander McCall during the ceremony at Government House on Tuesday. After completing his doctorate in optometry at the Philadelphia Optical College in 1953, he returned to Barbados to continue the practice founded by his late grandfather, Harcourt Carter. He dedicated more than 50 years to Harcourt Carter Optical before retiring only last year. Mr. Melville was also responsible for opening the Sunbury Great House and was chairman of the board of directors up until 2015. Now, in 2000, he was awarded the Barbados Companion of Honor for his contribution to tourism. He leaves to mourn 3 daughters and his wife, Angela Melville. For the second time this week, a Barbadian has reached this special milestone of 100 years. She is Marjorie Dorita Banfield, a resident of the Egnell Nursing Home in Weston St. James. In reaching the landmark, she becomes the first centenarian Governor General Dame Sandra Mason has visited since her installation on Monday.
Family, mainly from North America and Barbados, all joined the centenarian for her birthday celebrations. Despite being blind and immobile, Miss Banfield is still lively and enjoys singing several hymns such as this one. Her relatives have been encouraged to visit her as often as possible.
All of you, remember to visit, because it's only on occasions such as this that people need your support. So it would be really good if, you continue to visit with her. Everybody doesn't have to fall down and swoop on her at the same time. I know the people who are here from Canada will come as often and frequently as possible because they're going back and they will not see her. But it is the ones who live here have to remember that your Aunt Marjorie needs your support.
According to her niece Jennifer Bino, the former St. Stephen's primary school teacher still maintains a healthy diet.
Her heart is good, her pressure is good, she don't have diabetes. It's just that she cannot walk. She loves to eat. She likes soup and she likes milk cocoa and steamed fish.
Miss Banfield does not have any children and was never married. Nadia Phillips, Cbc News.
Well, happy birthday to you, Miss Banfield. And still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region.
This is Seth at Melville, musician and comedian.
Hi, I'm Nadia Phillips, comedian and entertainer. The Barbados Vagrants and Homeless Society is doing a great thing, and we need your help as well, Barbados.
Come together as one and give to the Barbados Vagrants and Homeless Society by simply donating anything you got. Trust me, families, help the homeless.
Prevent, protect.
Over in St. Vincent, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez says he has advised his son and Finance Minister Camilo Gonzalez not to comment on an ongoing scandal in which a model has claimed that she had a sexual relationship with him. That model, 22-year-old Yugi Farrell of Lomans Bay, made the claims in videos that appeared on social media on Saturday. This came a day after Kingstown Magistrate Bertie Pompey ordered that she undergo 2 weeks of psychiatric evaluation. Farrell was charged with using abusive language at Camilo's wife, Karen Duncan Gonzalez. She pleaded not guilty when she was arraigned last Friday, and the prosecution then asked that she be sent for psychiatric evaluation. The Ministry of National Security is set to spend $45,000 to provide the Jamaica Constabulary Force with technology to allow the police to go after people who steal cell phones. National Security Minister Robert Montague says an estimated 2,400 cell phones are stolen across the island every year. According to him, with a conservative estimate of $10,000 for each phone, the robbers are getting away with about $24 million. He says the equipment should be in the island within the next 6 to 8 weeks, and after a training period, the system will be launched in a limited geographical space. Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda Gaston Brown has refused to apologize for a statement that has prompted the threat of a lawsuit from opposition parliamentarian Wilmoth Daniel. The opposition member of parliament has threatened to sue the Prime Minister for allegations reportedly made against him. According to Daniel's attorney, Charlesworth Tabor, the Prime Minister made some very outrageous allegations in Parliament. Tabor said he has sent a letter to Brown on behalf of Daniel requesting an apology, and the Prime Minister has 14 days in which to apologize. The attorney specified that the comments were made during a crosstalk in the Parliament building after the Speaker of the House suspended the sitting due to a disruption in electricity. Our sports news is up next, but first a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Don't have landscaping that will provide cover or hiding places. This crime prevention tip is brought to you in association with the Royal Barbados Police Force.